When you've set up your database and you're ready to set up your website, the first thing you're going to need to do is to upload 2 files to your server which will enable the deployment. The 2 files you need to upload are in the download folder, and they are called installer.php and this demo directory file with a long name. So those 2 files are the ones we're going to upload to our server. Now there's 2 ways we can do that. We can do it through the cPanel. So we log into cPanel, choose File Manager, and then click Upload. We can then choose the file, so we can choose installer first of all, and the upload will start automatically. The installer PHP file is only small, so that won't take long. We would then choose the other file and click open, and that would do exactly the same. So that's one way of uploading it. The other way is via an FTP program like FileZilla, and I'll now show you how to do that. So we need to connect to our server, and once we're connected we need to open up the public HTML folder. Once we do that, we can see that installer.php file we just uploaded via the cPanel, and we want to upload the other file into the same folder. So we can just drag the file across, and that will now upload. Now that will take a bit of time because it's a large file, so we'll come back to that in a moment when that has finished uploading. Those 2 files are now fully uploaded, and it can take anything from 5 minutes to 20 minutes depending on the speed of your connection. Once they are uploaded, we need to go to the domain, which in this case is londonfoodscout.com, and we'll see that there are we can see the files in the directory there. We need to click on the installer PHP. If you don't actually see this index of files, then just put /installer.php on the end of your domain name. So in our case we would put londonfoodscout.com /installer.php, and that is the address that we would be putting into our browser URL bar. In this case we can see them, so we can just click on installer PHP, and that calls up the page which is going to ask for our database details. So now you need to find your notepad file with the database name, username and password. So we're going to leave the radio button on create new database, and we're going to leave localhost in the host field, but we're going to paste our database name and user from our notepad, and of course our password that we created, and then we're going to click test connection, and if you put the right details in you should get success on both server connected and database found. If that's not the case, then you've entered the wrong details and you need to check those. If you do see success in both of these, just click the close button. We don't need the other options, so we'll just put a tick in I have read all warnings and notices, and then click run deployment. you'll get a pop-up which asks you if you want to continue the installation with the following settings, and it gives you a warning. Please read those and click OK. Now it will process the files and the database, and that will take a few minutes. The next page you'll see will be details of the old settings of the site and details of the new settings. So the old settings are taken from where we copied the clone site from, and the new settings are your details, so your new website, the path and the title, which you can change in a moment when we finish setting the site up. If you want to set up a new admin account, you can do that from here. We just leave these details blank and do that afterwards. You don't need to change anything in advanced options, so just go ahead and click Run Update, and again the process will take several minutes. So I'll pause this video and come back once that process is finished. Now the third page you'll see is the test site page. From here we're going to run through a couple of things that we need to do. The first is the save permalinks, and if we right click on here and open a new tab, the site has now been deployed, so we need to log in. So if we click on this tab and if we put in the admin username and password, and complete the captcha and press login, it takes us to the permalink settings on the WordPress site. So we need to leave it on post name and click Save Changes. We can then just take a quick visit to the site. So if we right click on Visit Site, just to make sure it loads properly, you'll notice it loads without the top map search section, which we'll come to in a moment, but everything's looking pretty good there. So we've got the header section with the banner ad, we've got the main navigation, the top navigation is there, the slider, sidebar, and the content, which is already populated, and the footer ads and the main footer is all there. So everything's looking good. If we close that for a moment, and if we just go back to the duplicator installer page, the next thing it tells us to do is test the site. So you need to just have a look round on each of the pages, make sure you're happy that all the pages are there. So we can check the free listing page, the advertise page, and just make sure that everything's looking good, that there's nothing crazily out of shape there, and then come back and it says the final thing to do is a file clear up. We can click that and press OK, and you should get an indication that everything's been removed successfully. What happens is the process puts an extra couple of files onto your system. One's an installer backup, and one's an installer log file, and you've already uploaded the actual main file itself plus the installer script, so it removes all of those files to make sure they're not hanging about on your site in case anybody else comes along and tries to steal them. So it removes them for you. If this process doesn't actually remove them, then just open up your FTP program and refresh your public HTML files and see if those particular files are still on the server. So you're looking for installer PHP, you're looking for the actual main archive file itself, the installer log text file, and installer backup PHP, installer data SQL. So if those are still on your server, you can remove them. Now that concludes actually deploying the site. In the next video we need to look at the changes we need to start making on the site before we can customize it to our particular needs.